didn't warn you, because we've been warning you for quite a long time now that all of these anti-Semitism bills that you see making their way through state legislatures, all of these executive orders that are being signed by governors all over our free country, boycotting, protesting, making all of that illegal if you're questioning these little satanic Jews or Israel, that at some point that was all going to go federal. It was never going to stay at the state level forever. They just had to compromise and blackmail, pay off, bribe, co-opt enough people, buy them all off. And once these politicians are bought off, and once you have everybody else fighting over some fake wedge issue, that these Jews and the Shabbos goys that are running this country, that they would pass federal legislation making it illegal for you to question Israel. They would make so-called anti-Semitism illegal. So you can't question or boycott or protest or criticize, God forbid, criticize Israel or these Jews. Because to these people in our government, to our fake, occupied, illegitimate, pedophilic government, to these people, these Jews, these genocidal, satanic, blood-drinking, foreskin-eating monsters from hell are above reproach. And they want to codify that into law. We haven't been shy about telling you any of this, about exactly what's coming. And guess what? We were right. Right now, at this very moment, multiple anti-Semitism bills are making their way through Congress with the end goal of punishing, even imprisoning Americans for blaspheming Israel and the Jews. And while a number of these bills are still being fine-tuned, we're told, just this week, Congress got off to a running start on all of this when, in exchange for going home a day early, they introduced a resolution calling on all federal officials, all faith leaders, all civil society leaders to, quote, condemn and counter all acts of anti-Semitism, end quote. Then the resolution goes on to direct these people to, quote, take all possible steps to ensure the safety, security, and dignity of all American Jews in all aspects of their lives, including at the workplace, college, university campuses, synagogues, and at home. At home? First of all of those demands are ridiculous and unconstitutional, but how the hell are they going to legislate what you do in your own home? I mean, these people are going no holds barred. I say it all the time. They won't be stopped until they're stopped. They won't stop until we stop them. It's the same playbook that these Jews really run everywhere they go. It's already illegal to question the Holocaust all over Europe. Our good friend Germar Rudolph has an arrest warrant in Germany for publishing the Holocaust Encyclopedia. And what they really want is to bring that to America. America will be ground zero for the speech police. But again, it's all been done before. Everywhere these Jews go, they've managed to get a foothold, like in the Soviet Union. Take a look at this video clip. This explains how when these Jews took over Russia and murdered millions of Christians to establish their communist hellscape, their first order of business was to make it illegal to question the Jew. Because if you question the Jew, you are questioning your new rulers.
Because of the predominantly Jewish character of the regime, the very first piece of legislation approved by the communist regime was the Anti-Semitism Act in 1917. Anti-Semitism was made a capital crime. An anti-communist was regarded as an anti-Semite. Leon Trotsky also started using the word racist to browbeat all dissenters of the communist ideology and to render debate impossible. These words are used still to this day to bully any politically incorrect person into silence. Even more now than ever, they're trying to make it punishable to question or criticize their actions by calling it hate speech, fake news, or anti-Semitic.
Yeah, sound familiar? It's every single time. It's over and over again. Everywhere these demons go. Frankie Stocks has been following a lot of this for us. He's the head here in charge in the DC bureau for the Stu Peters Network. Did you get your press credentials yet, by the way?
Not yet, Stu, but I'm holding out hope. And I also applied for that seat at the White House, the new media seat, which they seem to consider new media like all of these Con Inc. publications. But I'm holding out hope that the White House will give me a call as well and credential the Stu Peters Network up.
These people got to go home early. Like they got rewarded with an early vacation to pass legislation that would make it illegal, that it would criminalize at the federal level, questioning a genocide, criticizing Netanyahu or Israel or these Jews?
Yes, Stu, and this passed by a ridiculous margin. It was 421 to 1. Thomas Massie was the only member of Congress who voted against this. Now, this is different. This is separate from the two bills that are working their way through Congress right now, the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act and the IGO Anti-Boycott Act. This was House Resolution 352, and this is just a standalone bill that was put forward by Debbie Wasserman Schultz, hardcore Zionist, hardcore Jew, always openly expressing her desire to lay out Israel's interests and have Congress vote on them. She holds press conferences where she kvetches about the need to go to war in Ukraine, the need to go to war on behalf of Israel, all of this stuff. And she's working arm in arm with the DNC, with the GOP, so that they can pass this stuff through Congress. They passed this, and then in reward, just as you mentioned, in reward, they get to go home early. It's like, yeah, you do a little bit of job for your Zionist overlords, and you get a free vacation out of it. But this is just the first, this is the jumping off point for enacting all of this. They have two more bills, anti-Semitism awareness, anti-IGO boycotts, that they're going to put through. These are obviously going to be auto-pinned and signed by President Trump. He's been paid $200 million to do this. And they're going to start throwing Americans in prison for 20 years at a time under that IGO Boycott Act. They're going to throw Americans in prison for 20 years at a time, give them $1 million fines, and you'll never hear from them again for criticizing, questioning, boycotting Israel. They are codifying all of this, and this resolution that they passed, this is just like the ritual, beforehand. They're like, oh yeah, look, we're all good little Shabbos goys. We're going to pass the bills. We're going to put up a fake little fight, and then we're going to pass it, and this is our assurance to you that that's exactly what we're going to do.
So what does the wording in this thing say? I mean, what would be considered an illegal act of anti-Semitism?
So in the resolution that they just passed, they don't specify it. And I think that's what makes it so dangerous, is that it's just so wide reaching. It encompasses every aspect of life up to and including the home. Under the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act, that is what's going to bring in this International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance working definition of anti-Semitism. It's always changing. They make it whatever they want it to be. And that's going to mostly focus, they say, on college campuses. Obviously, it's going to spin out of that. And you will be accused of committing an anti-Semitism, of blaspheming the Jews and violating the Noahide laws if you question Israel or if you vocally oppose Israel. That has hit a speed bump because there's a split, especially among Republicans, over whether or not it should also be illegal to say that the Jews murdered Christ, which they did. The Jews murdered Christ. They said it themselves. Let his blood be on the hands of us and on the hands of our children. But if you say that, there is a huge swath of our federal government and obviously all these state governments that want to make it illegal. They want to take your job from you, kick you out of school, charge you with hate crimes. That's what that bill's all about. And this Boycott Act, the IGO, they say that if you're boycotting Israel, you're doing the bidding of foreign governments, of Iran or of whoever they want to name. And that they can get you in jail for 20 years over and fine you $1 million for. So they're coming down all these different avenues and they're putting all this stuff together to make like one big ghastly scenario where Americans aren't allowed to even criticize or question a foreign country. And they're taking this down the road to saying, and I've said this here before, Stu, and I'll just say it again, this is all going down the road to you will be charged with treason for undermining America's alliance with Israel if you question Israel or if you name the Jews. That is where all of this is going. They are taking us down that road. A year ago, if you told people Congress would be voting on legislation to put you in prison for 20 years if you question Israel or boycott Israel, people would have said that you were crazy. But that is exactly where we are.
Well, we did
right
say
now.
that. We said that exact thing, and people did say that I was crazy.
Yes, exactly. And that's exactly where we are right now. And now they're taking it even further to say if you criticize or question or boycott Israel, you're going to be thrown in prison in some gulag for 20 years. It is exactly like the Soviet Union. And this is what these Jews do. They are religiously commanded through their Noahide laws, not just to silence you, not just to kill you if you question them. They're commanded to establish courts of justice, as they call them. That's this whole thing about, Jewish legal prowess. There's a reason for all of that. They want to come in and take over courts and establish their Noahide courts of justice. And the justice is they silence you. And if you don't shut up, they kill you.
Put you in prison for the rest of your life, put you into a financial oblivion, dark hole that you'll never get out of. Make sure that you and your family can never prosper. Break up your family. You're not allowed to talk with your significant other or your children about the genocide that Israel is perpetuating right now. You're not allowed to talk about how the education system has been completely occupied and has been subverted and now introduces pornographic materials to children and grooms them into sexual molestation and rape. You're not allowed to have these conversations and warn your children what they're going to encounter when they step onto the spiritual battlefield that is the real world every time they walk out of their front door. You can't have that conversation in your own home now without being at risk of indictment.
Yeah, you can't have it anywhere, Stu. And, it's happening right now. There's a story up, stupeters.com. You go over to the news tab. I put this up a couple of days ago. There is a guy in New York. This is a pro-Palestinian protester, and he is being charged with hate crimes over a few scuffles that he got in with some Jews out at these protests in New York. He's being charged with hate crimes because when investigators searched his cell phone, they found personal text messages and material in his phone, memes, photos, videos, whatever, that they claim were anti-Semitic, that were pro-Palestinian. This is where this is going. And the Trump administration is working directly with the Jewish-run NYPD to do this. And they're working directly with, guess who? The Southern District of New York to file federal charges against this guy. Over the past several years, we've been told the Southern District of New York is some Stalinist communist court. They unfairly went after Trump. They unfairly went after all these people from his inner circle. Well, now the Trump administration is using the Southern District of New York to go after noticers. And they're just making an example of this guy. This is going to happen all around the country.
What do you think is going to happen when you go into court for any reason, whether it's a divorce or child custody, or you're involved with a lawsuit over intellectual property or whatever the case might be? You're in court, and this has nothing to do with Israel at all whatsoever. But the opposition legal team is going to bring up what a rabid and vile anti-Semite you are if you have ever questioned these people killing or raping children en masse.
Yeah, they're going to use
whether
this
you've
for
ever
everything.
inquired about why it is that these Israelis were dancing on 9/11, or if you ever just bring up the fact that, they torpedoed our boat, like the USS Liberty, and if you ever question any of this stuff, 9/11, Building 7, weather manipulation, big pharmaceutical companies, the media, the entertainment industry, Hollywood, Jeffrey Epstein, no matter what it is, if you question any of this stuff, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, and they're going to use it for everything they possibly can. If they can get access to your messages, your social media posts, your private conversations, anything, they're going to pull that out, and they're going to say, look, this guy
And
is
then
an
what's the judge going to say? The judge is going to say, well, yeah, no, I'm going to award away from you. I'm not going to give you the verdict that you're looking for because you're a virulent, rabid anti-Semite. You're a dangerous individual for these Jews. You're dangerous for Israel.
Yeah, you're not worthy of it. You're committing Noahide law violations. You're blaspheming the Jews. I mean, this is going to eke in to every single aspect of life. And in that resolution, that's why it's so important. They mention the home. Like, this is going just full blast. We have been talking for years about this trans agenda, how they're saying kids are going to school and reporting on their parents, and then their moves to take kids out of their parents' homes because they're anti-trans or they're anti-gay. I mean, they're going to be taking kids out of their parents' homes because they're anti-Semitic. I mean, this is all coming down the pipe right now. It's not a joke. Congress is making moves for it right now as we speak, and there's already people going through the court system who are having their text messages pulled out, their anti-Semitic text messages, and then they're just super glued in to whatever case is active against them, and it's turned into a hate crime. So because some guy said some text messages, over the course of weeks, that means that when he had a scuffle with some Jew somewhere who's running around looking for fights, looking to be the victim, the Jew striking out and crying out in pain as he strikes you, they can look in this guy's text and say he had hate in his heart, on his mind when he had this altercation. We're charging him with a hate crime. I mean, this is going to move into everything. When you talk to your children, you're an anti-Semite. You're not allowed to talk to your children anymore. I mean, it's once this stuff is allowed, once this is all opened up, there's no limit. You give the government an inch and they take a mile every single time, and now they're going to take 6 million miles.